So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the UK-Australia deal should not be held hostage by farmers. So this is from this is from the FT, but it's from the Australian British Chamber of Commerce. It's a bit of a weird name. Reading this article, it seems they're more favoured towards the Australian side anyway. So we'll go through this article. There is a factual mistake they make at least, or it looks like it anyways. So Britain should not allow the Australia-UK Free Trade Agreement to be held hostage by the country's farming sector and should focus on ratifying the deal this year, a leading trade group has warned. And it's funny that they've talked about farmers being, holding the deal hostage when it's farmers predominantly that are negatively impacted by the deal. They could lose, their industry I think could lose around £100 million, especially in a deal that's only worth at best 0.02% to the British economy. It's worth a lot more to Australia. The Australian British Chamber of Commerce published a report this week that said the UK's first post-Brexit deal would remove around 9 billion Australian dollars or £5 billion of tariffs and boost access to workers and capital between both countries, which, okay, sure, but again, it's going to benefit one side way more than the other because the UK economy is way bigger than the Australian one and the deal is weighted far more towards Australia. British farmers have objected that Australia could flood the UK with cheap beef and lamb and damage the livelihoods of livestock producers, which is absolutely going to happen. The danger we face is that agriculture, which is an important but small part of the free trade agreement, holds other parts of the agreement hostage. Which is true, it's important, but it's small. But when Brexit was predominantly ran on, farmers can export to the single market with no barriers, and then to the rest of the world with no barriers. That's one of the reasons why farmers backed the Tories and backed Brexit, when that's simply not the case. In fact, they've got the opposite, where they've got so many barriers now importing into the single market, and now they have to face competition from the EU. So there is a much broader horizon. David Macready, the organisation's chief executive, told the FT, it's important for the UK government, having trumpeted that this is the first post-Brexit trade deal to live up to the high benchmark. They've said it's not a high benchmark though. 0.02% at best. Best case scenario is nothing. Minus 0.02% is a bit scary, but it adds nothing to the British economy. The free trade deal, which was agreed in principle last year, should be ratified in the final 3 months of this year, which again is very quick to get a free trade deal. These can take between 5 and 7 years. We've got this one within about, pretty much 2 years, 3 years, essentially, if it's ratified by the end of the year. The wide-ranging agreement will cut tariffs on everything from whiskey to electric vehicles made in Sunderland being exported to Australia, which is interesting because you think, given the geographical distance between the two countries, that there would be other options for Australians to buy electric cars. There are some of it's moved back towards Japan, which is far closer than the UK. I think America is also closer than the UK. At least the southern bits of America would be. So it'd be interesting to see them import products all the way from Sunderland when they might have other options. I guess it would depend on tariffs and other things as well. Johnson, the British Prime Minister, posed with a packet of Tim Tam chocolate biscuits. Now, this is not a sponsorship. I have tried Tim Tam biscuits when I was in Bangladesh, I'm pretty sure. They tasted good, but we have alternatives in the UK. And they're going to be really expensive because you still got shipping costs and other things. Yeah, Tim Tams are nice, but they're not worth paying the amount you'd have to pay with just the shipping and customs fees alone. Macready said there was a risk that the deal, which could stimulate a post-pandemic economic recovery for both countries, which again is factually incorrect because it's going to add 0.02% at best. So no, it's not going to have a big effect. Even the OBR said, yeah, it's negligible. This might be weighed down by overly pessimistic views on its impact on the British industry. He says, every day we wait means more tariffs. I mean, does he mean more tariffs being paid or more tariffs being added? Because that doesn't make sense. He's saying, if we wait another week, the tariffs are going to be so high, you can see it from space. And then 2 weeks later, it's going to be in space. That's how much tariffs we're going to have. What are you talking about, big man? I don't understand their point, but I suppose he's saying, the more days we wait, the more that British sort of exporters have to pay in tariffs when, okay, but, it benefits your side way more than ours. The UK is Australia's 5th largest trading partner for goods, according to Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs. Now, I think that's an FT bit they've quoted out. The only details I could find were from 2018, 2019. And if you look at the top 10 trading partners for total two-way trade, this covers two-way trading, right, for goods. You've got China being number one, which makes sense. Japan, the United States, Korea, Singapore, New Zealand, and then for goods, the UK's even lower. We're at 15, so we're just in the top 10. We're 10th essentially. You've got India, which is higher than us in terms of goods, Malaysia and Thailand. So we're 10th for goods. So I don't understand if it's the FT that have said this or if it's that Chamber of Commerce that have said this. Very strange. Unless they have access to more up-to-date figures, which is possible because these from 2018-19, but these are the most recent figures I could get from the Australian website. So very strange stuff here. I mean, again, if I'm wrong, then fair enough. But yeah, agriculture has remained very low between the UK and Australia since Britain joined the EU because of the high tariffs and trade barriers. That's, the stuff the EU have had to protect their own internal traders. Australian government has argued that it is unlikely to return to pre-EU membership levels because of the strength of its Asia trade relationships. And you've got to think, right, once the UK joined the EU, Australia had to... I don't know how much trade happened back then, but Australia probably rejigged their strategy of, okay, let's look at who's nearby and who we can trade with, rather than looking at the UK, which is already very far away. So the point being is, people say we can go back and trade with the Commonwealth countries. Well, the Commonwealth countries have moved on. They have. You can blame our membership of the EU for that, fine, but geography was always going to get in the way of this. You look at Canada, very far away, does a lot of trade with America and Mexico. Why? Because geographically they're closer. You look at Australia and New Zealand, they do trade between each other, but also if you look at this listing, they do trade with the countries nearby. Yes, some of these countries that have trade deals and bilateral agreements with, but you can see we're not there. And even if we did increase the trade by, say 4 billion, we'd still be in the same spot we are, which is 10th. So it doesn't even make sense, these arguments. So the Australian Chamber of Commerce represents the interests of 25,000 businesses active in both countries, happily to screw over British farmers. Most of the benefit for large service industries in the UK and Australia with migration and capital investment being opened up, well, this is a kind of a different free trade deal because they don't typically include services, which if it boosts services, fine, because the UK is a service-based economy predominantly. Time zones will be an issue though. McGreedy says it's not just window dressing, it has real teeth. But again, it benefits Australia way more than it benefits the UK, and the UK's Department for International Trade declined to comment on this. Which, because if they did comment, they would say we need to find a deal that benefits everyone, blah, blah, blah. But, the farmers aren't stupid. They're going to know about the impacts. They were mad. One of the farmers was mad at Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister for New Zealand, saying, I can't believe she signed such a deal that screw us over. Like, she's the Prime Minister of New Zealand, not the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Maybe it's the role of the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom to look out for the interests of British farmers. I know, bold statement, but maybe it could just be true. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.